Hey there, welcome to the Schwowin's Nest. My name is Sandra, and I'm so glad you're here. If you like crafting, home decor, and DIYs on a budget, you're in the right place. Hit that red button and stick around a while. This is a toothbrush holder that I picked up one day at the Dollar Tree. I am going to remove the brush and floss on there, and you can see that I'm going to be using 100% acetone. And this is available at drugstores and Walmart. It's just a way to just very easily clean off any of the ink that's just put on there and then clean off the rest of the project as well. On my last trip to the Dollar Tree, I did find some new rub-on transfers, and I was really excited to see these. They're more of a spring design, but they still have those muted grays and blacks, and there's a tiny little bit of blue in here as well. So I'm going to be cutting this one out and applying it to the front of the little jar. These rub-on transfers are always so easy to use. The paper that they're on is very flexible, so you can see I was able to just stick it right onto all of the rounded edges. And now I'm just using a plastic ruler. I don't have a specific tool for this, but this works just fine. I've also just used my fingernail on smaller items, and that works well too. I usually start at one end of the transfer and then work my way across. This way, I can easily just pick up any of the paper, and if I need to place it back down, it's still going to be in the right spot. When I'm done, I like to take the transfer sheet and just very gently rub over the transfer to make sure that it's stuck on there really well. And this is how it turned out. I have this terracotta saucer. I've actually got quite a few of them. I can't remember where I got them. They might have come in a pack at the thrift store or it might have been a dollar store. I'm going to give one of these 2 coats of white chalk paint all over the top, bottom, sides. Everything's going to get it. For this project, I needed some type of knob. So I found this one. It's just a regular round brass knob that was in my kitchen, and I'm going to give it a couple of coats of white spray paint. I have this little globe jar that I got from the Dollar Tree. I think it was in the vases section or maybe the candle section. I can't remember. I'm going to use this as a cloche. So I'm using some Weldbond glue, which is my favorite glue to glue anything together, but it does need some time to dry and cure. Just going to throw the knob on top of the glue and set it aside to dry. You don't have to do this step, but I like things a little more rustic, so I'm going to give this saucer a little bit of black distressing, just using a small little chip brush. When I do my distressing, I like to start with a lighter touch first and then just get a little bit heavier as I go if I want it to be heavier. Sometimes I get a little bit of a darker tone to it by accident and then I just kind of blend it in. So I did get a little bit of a darker spot on the top of the saucer, so I decided let's just accentuate some of the other lines on this as well by going over them one more time with the brush. I found these beautiful speckled eggs at my local dollar store and I just had to get them. They're 2 different sizes and they have 3 different colors in each bag. For this project, I'm just going to be using the white ones and the beige ones, and I need to just trim off that little jute hanger. This little globe jar has a really small opening. So what I'm going to do instead of putting all of my decor into the saucer, I'm actually going to put it into the jar. So I'm adding a little bit of Spanish moss and I'm going to toss in some of the eggs, actually all of them. I think there's 8 of them that I used all together. And then I'm going to add a little bit more Spanish moss, a little bit of reindeer moss. You could add anything in here. I think it would also look nice with some tiny little flowers, maybe some blue ones or pink or yellow, whatever your style is, maybe even a little bit of lavender. And then once I've got everything in there the way I want it, I put the saucer right on top and then flip it over. And I've got myself a cute little egg cloche. I just think it's so adorable. If you've been following me for a while, you know I love working with rustic wood pieces. This is a coaster that came as a set. It has a hole in it because they all were stacked onto this wooden stick that was on another coaster at the bottom. Anyhow, I'm going to add this little pussy willow branch. It is a live branch. It came from a live arrangement. So I know it's not going to last very long, but I thought I would just use it to make a little bit of something with it. So I'm using this little branch as a ledge and I'm adding some reindeer moss. I'm going to now add a little bit of Spanish moss. And then I've got a few little eggs that I'm going to stick on there as well. Embellish it with some greenery, a little bit of white florals, and some pip berries, and just make a little standing arrangement that would be really sweet for the spring season. Of course, you could also use it for Easter because of the eggs in it. I did end up adding a tumbling tower block at the back of it just so it would stand on its own much better. When I'm working on projects like this, it takes me a really long time, probably a good 15 or 20 minutes, and there's no way I'm going to subject you to all of that. So I think you'll get the idea of what I did with this once you see the finished product. I think this one turned out super cute. For this project, I'm using two wood rounds, and this top one I put in my xTool laser machine and engraved this design. If you wanted to do something like this, what I would suggest is taking some of the Dollar Tree wooden rounds that you can get, then stain them first, and then add either a rub-on transfer or you can use a Cricut vinyl or anything just to create a little design on top. I'm using my ready-made stain, but it wasn't watery enough, so I'm just spritzing down these two wood pieces with some water just so the stain isn't quite as dark as it looks right now. I usually wipe off the excess with a paper towel, but you can also just use a rag. I missed a whole step of filming this, but here you can see that I've glued all of these beads together to sandwich them in between the two rounds, and then I added four of them to the bottom. Now, I didn't stain the beads ahead of time because I wanted them to have just wood to wood contact with the hot glue, so there wouldn't be any moisture in between that would prevent them from sticking properly. So now I'm going to be doing a little bit of a wash again, just with some water and some of my stain. And I'm going to go through everything and stain absolutely everything the same color. And then, of course, wipe it off with a paper towel towards the end. I love how small this riser is because all you need to put on it is one feature, a candle, a flower arrangement, a figurine, and it looks absolutely beautiful. When I'm out at thrift stores, I'm always on the lookout for unique shaped glasses, bottles, vases, you name it. This one, I believe, was some type of wine carafe. It says Peller Estates on it. You can't see it very well, but it is engraved into it. So it's not something that I can just remove with my acetone. So what I've decided to do is to create a little stripe all the way around that will camouflage the writing that's on there. I'm going to use some painter's tape at the bottom, and then I'll do the same thing around the top, making sure that it's even all the way around. Using one of Dollar Tree's makeup sponges, I'm going to be dabbing on some black chalk paint. You can use acrylic paint, latex paint, anything you happen to have on hand. With the sponge, I'm going with a very light touch for the first coat. I'm going to end up doing 3 coats, but I didn't want to gob it on so there would be too much of a lip showing when you take the paint off. I usually never show this part, but I always use a hair dryer to help speed up the drying process when I'm doing my crafts, especially when I'm doing stuff for my videos. I don't have time to just sit and wait for paint to dry. So a blow dryer works well for me. If you have a heat gun, that's fine too. I'll add two more layers, blow drying them in between too. Once the paint was completely dry, I very slowly and carefully peeled off the painter's tape. Sometimes I have had experiences where the paint has peeled off with the painter's tape, so I'm always aware of doing it really slowly. There was a little bit of bleed, so I'm just using this Dollar Tree weeding tool and I'm scraping off the excess paint. This is another rub-on transfer sheet that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I've got a few little designs that I'm going to add to the top and the bottom of the stripe. So this one is just I thought it would be perfect. It's kind of an angle, points up to the top. Again, I'm just using this ruler, and I ended up actually just using my fingernails for the next ones because these were so tiny that it really didn't matter. I could run my fingernail over it and it stuck really well. Then I cut out two exact same designs from the same sheet, and I'm going to be putting them a little bit overlapping onto the black paint. And my fingernail is doing the perfect job for these because they're just so tiny and delicate that it doesn't even need the big scraper tool. This turned out absolutely gorgeous, and I'm just going to style it with nothing in it. Sometimes I like just having plain vases or glasses in a cluster in a vignette with some other little embellishments on it, and it looks perfect just the way it is. I think this project is the most detailed out of everything I have for you today. I'm taking this wooden sign and I'm going to give it a couple of coats of this parchment chalk paint. This color is sort of like Rust-Oleum chiffon cream, or, it's just a really creamy, pale yellow. You could even just call it a creamy white. I'm also using the same color to paint this little wooden fence. These come in a pack of, I think, three or four from Crafter's Square at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to do a couple of coats for this too, making sure that I get all of the little cutout edges, everything painted the same color. I only gave the inside of the box one coat because I'm going to put this beautiful piece of paper that I printed out. I created this design using a few graphics from Creative Fabrica, and I'm going to talk to you about that in just a couple of minutes. But let's just finish this project first. I'm only using hot glue because you won't even actually notice the bumps or anything. I'm going to be putting some things in front of it, so it just made it easier this way and a little faster too. This image was also from Creative Fabrica, and I printed it out on cardstock and then I cut it out. So you can see that it's just a little robin in a little bird bath, and I'm going to be using a block on the bottom of him, just a little. I think this is a Scrabble block, just to raise him up a little bit from the background. Before I do that, I'm going to add the little fence right to the very front of the box. And this way I'll be able to know better where to set my bird. So I'm just using some hot glue and I'm just going to wedge it in here. This was actually the perfect size for my little frame. So I got really lucky with this. I'm going to tuck a bunch of Spanish moss in behind the fence and just kind of squish it down so it looks like it's coming all the way up the fence, but not too much. So I like how all of the little pieces just kind of started to stick out. I just think that made it look more whimsical. Now it's time to add the bird. I did put a few sprigs of greenery on either side of the fence, and now I'm just going to glue my bird right in the center, a little bit farther down below the fence, just so it looks like the bird bath is sitting inside someone's garden. I'm going to add some more of these little eucalyptus blossoms, and I'm just going to put that in there and nothing else. And I think this turned out really, really pretty. The last thing I did was just rustify the outside a little bit just by distressing some of the corners and the edges. So before I end my video today, I want to talk to you a little bit about Creative Fabrica. Now, this video is not sponsored by Creative Fabrica, but I am an affiliate for them. So I do get a little bit of something when you purchase anything on their site using the link that I have provided for you in my description box. So right now I've typed in vintage farmhouse and you can see there are fonts, there are papers, there are images, there are SVG files. There's basically anything that you are looking for will be available on this site. There are so many talented artists who add their designs to here. There's over 7 million different designs and things that you can look for. I'm just typing in floral paper now so we can take a look at how many results you get. 27,000 results. Now you can definitely drill down a little bit more using the sidebar here if you're looking for something specific. Let's take a look at how you would get these. Okay, so we can take a look at what the reviews are for the designer. You can follow the designer if you want. We can also just use the little arrows and take a look at some close up of what the papers are all about for this spring design. Now, if you want to download, there is a download button right next to the image. You're going to click it and it's going to be downloaded into the download folder of your computer. Then what you're going to need to do is extract it. It shows up as a zipped file. So I'm going to show you here now on my computer. This distressed blue and pink has a zipper across the folder. Right click it and choose extract all. And if you want to move it to a different folder, you can do that. I'm leaving mine in downloads for now. And now I have two folders named the same, one with the zipper and one without. You can delete the one with the zipper once you've extracted everything. And now we can take a look at all of the images that are in this folder. You've just received all of this beautiful paper that you can print off and use in your DIY projects. Now, Creative Fabrica does let you purchase things individually, but let me tell you, if you buy 2 or 3 different items, you're already spending at least $4 or $5 on these. You can get an all access yearly subscription for $3.99 a month. That is in US dollars, and it's $47 per year. So basically, you could buy like 8 or 9 individual things, and you've already spent what you would spend on a full year of access. This is amazing. It's such a great deal. You can definitely go onto their site and sign up. You'll get your first month free, so you can get everything that you maybe want for your first month, and then you can cancel, or you can continue on and be billed for the $47 US per year. I think it's totally worth it. As I mentioned earlier, there's over 7 million graphics, fonts, and there's even some classes where they will teach you how to do different projects. And I'm actually a teacher. I have about 9 classes on here where I take you through very slowly how to do the specific projects. Go check it out. The link is in my description box. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to do all the things. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and the like button. Here's a couple more videos you might like to watch. See you in the next one.